The ink of intention. The Westside Library was less a building and more a tomb, a labyrinth of decaying timber, where silence felt heavy enough to choke. Ren moved through the wreckage of toppled shelves, the air tasting of metallic dust and forgotten history. In a pool of unnatural, piercing moonlight lay a leather-bound sketchbook, its surface pristine and defiant against the surrounding rot. As Ren neared it, a low frequency thrummed through the floorboards, a rhythmic vibration that mimicked the steady beat of a human heart.
Driven by a sudden, electric impulse, Ren sat on the cold floor and drew a single, jagged spark on the first page. The charcoal didn't just leave a mark. It tore a hole through the fabric of the room. A lick of actual fire blossomed from the paper, the heat searing and visceral. It wasn't an illusion or a trick of the mind. The sketch was alive, fueled by an ancient energy that felt dangerously hungry for more, casting long, flickering shadows against the ruins. Emboldened by the impossible, Ren sketched a companion, a small sphere with wide, liquid eyes and limbs made of flowing, ethereal ink. Ren named the spirit Gesso. The creature pulled itself from the fibers of the paper, trilling a static-filled, melodic song that echoed through the hollow halls. For a moment, the gloom lifted. They played among the ruins, Ren drawing vibrant, glowing doors where there was only rubble, momentarily escaping the crushing weight of a world that had forgotten them. But the atmosphere soon curdled, the air turning thick and stagnant. The ink on the pages began to boil and spread without Ren's touch, turning a deep, oily violet. The peaceful garden Ren had begun to sketch twisted into a suffocating thicket of obsidian thorns that bled a dark, rhythmic encore. Ren tried to slam the book shut, but the pages felt as heavy as lead, held open by an invisible, crushing pressure that refused to let the scene end before its climax. Ren's right hand suddenly spasmed, the charcoal pencil digging deep enough into the paper to tear it. The fingers felt as if they were being manipulated by cold piano wires, moved by a puppeteer from another dimension. Ren fought their own limb, white-knuckling their right wrist with their left hand in a desperate attempt to resist. But the pencil continued to carve jagged, violent symbols into the page against their will. The malevolent influence finally reached Gesso. The spirit's soft form shattered and reformed into something jagged, predatory, and alien. It grew rows of needle teeth and long, translucent claws made of wet, dripping ink. Gesso let out a screech. That sounded like tearing metal, lunging at its creator with a mindless, scripted fury. It was no longer a friend, but a monster driven by a narrative it was being forced to play out for an unseen observer. In that moment of terror, Ren didn't look at the monster. Instead, they looked up, past the crumbling library ceiling and directly into the void, where the observer sat. The realization was chilling. The horror wasn't accidental. It was curated. "You're doing this," Ren shouted, their voice cracking with a sense of profound betrayal. "You're turning these pages because you want to see how much I can take. You're watching me suffer for the sake of the story." The force on Ren's hand intensified, trying to force them to draw a weapon to prolong the bloody conflict. Ren resisted with every fiber of their being, turning the charcoal into a tool of protest. They scrawled desperate, ugly words across the ink-stained pages, fighting the invisible weight that tried to guide their strokes. "Please stop," Ren wrote in jagged letters. "Stop drawing. This is not a game. End the story now." The library began to fracture, the reality of the room peeling away like burnt wallpaper. Gesso dissolved into a pool of silent, weeping shadow as Ren refused to play the role of the victim any longer. With a guttural scream of defiance that shook the foundations of the library, Ren threw their entire weight onto the leather cover, finally forcing the book to snap shut and severing the connection to the eyes beyond the veil. Silence returns to the Westside Library, cold and absolute. But as Ren turned to leave, the air shimmered with a sickening sense of déjà vu. Their footsteps led not to the exit, but back to the very spot where the journey began. The book lay there on the pedestal, open and waiting, the first spark already beginning to flicker. Ren reached out, fingers trembling as the phantom weight of the audience's gaze forced the cycle to begin again.